The morning of September 1, 1939, without warning, German troops invaded Poland. Panzer tanks leveled the borders, Luftwaffe planes bombarded the cities. The world hadn't realized it yet, but on that day, history changed. This was the moment World War II began. To understand why Germany invaded Poland, we must go back to 1918. World War I had just ended. Germany was defeated, and the Treaty of Versailles devastated the country. They were forced to pay reparations, disband their armies, and cede territory. Then came one man, Adolf Hitler, a former soldier, a masterful orator, and a believer in extreme ideology. He offered the German people the one thing they desired, a revival of glory. In 10 years, Hitler transformed Germany from a devastated nation into the greatest military power in Europe. He did all this through propaganda, repression, and ambition.
Hitler had a big dream, Lebensraum, living space for the German people. And to do that, Germany had to expand eastward. The first target, Poland. But the problem was, the world wasn't blind. Britain and France had promised to protect Poland if attacked. So Hitler needed a false pretext. Thus, a covert operation called Operation Himmler was born. August 31st, 1939. German soldiers disguised themselves as Polish soldiers and attacked German radio stations, as if Poland had started the war. It was all a lie, but it was enough for Hitler to tell his people, "We are under attack. We must retaliate." This invasion was called Fallweis, but it was no ordinary war. Germany brought a new concept of warfare, Blitzkrieg, lightning war. It was no longer trench warfare like the 1914. Blitzkrieg relied on 3 weapons: fast tanks, Panzer; Luftwaffe air raid; infantry moves fast. The goal wasn't just to win, but to destroy the enemy before they could breathe. Poland wasn't prepared. They still had cavalry horses, outdated artillery, and no proper air force. When the Blitzkrieg came, it was like fighting a storm with an umbrella.
It's 4:45 a.m. The sky is still dark in Poland, but in the distance, the sound of engines begins to be heard. The town of Westerplatte is being hit by shells from the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein. Minutes later, hundreds of Luftwaffe planes fly over. They bombard the Polish airport, train station, and military headquarters, all in one simultaneous attack. Polish radio broadcasts a panicked message. "We are under attack. The Germans are attacking. This is not a drill." The highways are filled with soldiers, but they are facing something never seen in human history. Modern warfare, moving at the speed of lightning. Make no mistake, the Poles are not giving up easily. They have cavalry, the famously gallant horsemen. It's often said that they attacked German tanks with swords. That's not entirely true. But the bitter truth is, they are technologically outclassed. In 5 days, the Luftwaffe destroyed almost the entire Polish Air Force before it even had a chance to take off. However, there are heroic moments. The Battle of Wisna, often called the Polish Thermopylae. 720 Polish soldiers held out against 42,000 German troops. They knew they would lose, but they fought for 3 days. Their commander said, "I will die here. The fortress will not surrender." This was not a war of equals. This was a fight for honor. 2 days after the invasion, on September 3rd, 1939, Britain and France finally declared war on Germany. But did they send troops? No. Almost no real aid was provided to Poland. This war became known as the Phony War. On paper, Europe was at war. But on the Western Front, hardly a shot was fired for months. The world saw Poland burning, but only watched. If the Poles hoped for help from the West, they were mistaken, because from the East came another enemy. September 17, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Poland from the opposite direction. Why? Because a month earlier, Germany and the Soviet Union had secretly signed a secret agreement, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. In that agreement, Poland was divided in two. Hitler took the West, Stalin took the East. Poland never stood a chance. Warsaw, the capital of Poland, held out for 26 days. But after a relentless bombardment, on September 27, 1939, they were forced to surrender. Within a month, Poland disappeared from the map. More than 65,000 Polish soldiers were killed. Hundreds of thousands were captured, taken as prisoners of war, or sent to concentration camps. Behind the scenes, the Nazis began implementing a policy of genocide, the systematic murder of Polish Jews. This invasion was not just the beginning of a war, but the beginning of the Holocaust. The German invasion of Poland was not just a small war. It was a turning point in world history. After this, more than 100 countries became involved. 6 years later, 70 million people were dead. Cities were in ruins. Atomic bombs were dropped, and the world changed forever. It all began on one September morning. History is not just dates and names. It's a stark reminder that greed, propaganda, and the world's silence when injustice occurs can lead to unimaginable disaster. From Poland, we learn one thing. If we don't stop while the evil is still small, we will ultimately be fighting a fire that will consume the entire world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, as long as we understand history, we have a chance to prevent the same tragedy from happening again. See you in the next video.